What's up everyone? My name's Chris and I have finally upgraded my laptop from this old Toshiba Satellite, which I've had for 5 years. I have no idea how old it was when I first got it, but a year or two ago I upgraded the hard drive on it. I put in an SSD, which did help a lot at the time, but it was still not where I wanted it to be. So I upgraded it to this, the 2020 13-inch MacBook Pro, and let me tell you, I'm a lot happier with it. The Toshiba Satellite was just clunky and big and heavy and rather slow. The SSD, like I say, did help, but it was still experiencing lag when I was editing in my timeline. If you've ever edited video before, you'll understand that a laggy timeline is not okay. Like, it's a big problem, a big hindrance. Like, I'm okay with slow render times, and like if that takes a wee bit longer, that's fine, but a laggy timeline, like I'm trying to edit this smooth cinematic sequence and it just lags and I can't see the end product while I'm editing it, so it's hindrance. So the MacBook Pro is definitely a lot faster and a lot more up to scratch in that department. I decided to go for the 2020 Apple MacBook Pro 13-inch with the Intel Core i5, 16 gigs of RAM with 4 Thunderbolt 3 ports and a 1TB SSD, and I absolutely love it. It has the touch bar, it has Touch ID, it has the awful front-facing selfie camera, which doesn't support Face ID, which is disappointing. But aside from that, it's really, really good. I love the keyboard, I love the screen, and we'll talk about everything that I love and don't love later on in the video. But the main thing is just the experience you get from when you open the lid, then on. Like, literally the experience that Apple creates is very, very nice. The True Tone display helps a lot with photo editing, especially because it means I can see the colors more true to life. On the old laptop, the screen wasn't very bright. It looked kind of like washed out and lacking color. So it allows my photo edits to be a lot more accurate, and that helps a lot for clients. It helps a lot for myself because we all like our photos to end up more vibrant or more emphasized, as in what I was seeing when I was taking the photo. So it literally makes me a better photographer, which is huge. The only thing is, okay, it wasn't the first Apple MacBook that I bought. I looked and decided that I wanted to go with the really pretty one, the MacBook Air, the gold version, and I opened the box and I was like, oh my goodness, this is gorgeous. But I was then using it for photo editing and it was laggy and slow, and I did get the Core i5 version, but without all that RAM, it just didn't do very well. It was too slow, so I decided, nope, let's send this back, send it back, and got the Pro. I also got a chance to try out the 16-inch MacBook Pro, and it was huge. Yes, okay, it was fast. It was ridiculously fast with the discrete graphics card portion and the insane amount of RAM that you get, as well as all the other capabilities that it has. But it was just so big, I was like, okay, this is uncomfortable, and it was really heavy as well, and I want to be able to get on a plane when COVID eventually allows us to travel more freely more often. But just chuck this in my bag. Well, not chuck it, you know, be gentle with it, but bring this with me and it not slow me down, it not be a hindrance, and that's definitely the case with this 13-inch. So the 13-inch was a nice sweet spot for myself, not too slow like the Air, and powerful enough to deal with what I'm wanting to use it for, like photo and video editing, and also not too big or too clunky that it would be a hindrance while I'm traveling and be sore on my shoulders in my bag. The touch bar is cool. It's not necessary, but it's cool. It's added functionality. You can swap between tabs with the little buttons. You can increase the brightness and the sound, because it kind of takes up the space where all those buttons were. It's basically like all your F1, F2, F3 keys in the touch bar. So now they're just added functionality that you can program it to do a whole bunch of other stuff as well. I haven't taken advantage fully of that yet, but I'm still in the early days. Like, I've only had the MacBook maybe 2 weeks. As I said before, the camera on the laptop is absolutely horrific. Like, it is so horrendous. It's not even worth using at all. It works for FaceTime, like you can see people on it, but it's not anything special by any means at all. The microphones are okay. You can record voice memos on it and get messages to people and they can understand you, but again, nothing quite fancy. Touch ID is so handy. I really like it, not having to type a password in if you have the laptop already on. When you first turn the laptop on in a day, you have to type the password in, but then anytime you open it after that, you just require Touch ID, which is insanely handy. The battery life on this thing is excellent. It literally lasts me all day, even if I'm editing photos and videos, and it doesn't take very long to charge. It literally charges from 0 to full in like less than 2 hours. I have not run into any problems whatsoever. I also try to keep the battery healthy by only charging it between like 40 and 80% and sort of keeping it at that to reduce the number of cycles the battery's going through. And even if you do charge it from 0 to 100 every day, the battery is supposed to last a minimum of 3 years. But when you charge it all the way down to 40, or you let the battery deplete all the way down to 40 and then charge it to 80 and then keep doing that, that uses far less cycles. Therefore your battery life is extended crazy amounts. So we're thinking about longevity here, folks. Not just on short term, trying to make this thing last, because it was an investment. Mac OS Catalina is wonderful. I know they've been building and adding on to the different Mac OS versions for years, but I absolutely love Launchpad, I love Mission Control, and Spotlight are so incredibly handy. They clearly have put a lot of thought and a lot of time and effort into making a user interface that is just thinking about the end user and how they can make life easy and more efficient for them in terms of, you know, Launchpad and Spotlight, stuff like that. Some other things with Apple are not so easy, but is what it is. So this is what I recommend doing. Think about what you're going to be doing with the laptop before you spend the money. Like if you're a student and you only really need the laptop for word processing, sending emails, and like Zoom calling your tutors or your friends or whatever, you probably don't need the MacBook Pro. Get the Air. It'll cost you less money, it'll be lighter to carry around, you can get the gold version. But if you are, say, a professional and you need to be editing photos, you need to be editing videos, or say you're a musician and you need heavy graphics processing power to create tracks in your music, I would go with the Pro. Like if you're a filmmaker and you need to edit high quality footage and don't want to wait long for, you know, extended render times and all the rest of that, I would get the Pro as well. All in all, is the MacBook Pro 2020 worth it in my opinion? That depends. Because if you need it, yes. If you need that processing power, absolutely. It's a good machine. There is definitely an argument to be made for buying second-hand MacBooks from previous years, because I believe even the 2012 MacBooks are still receiving Mac OS Catalina. That is the latest version to this date, and they're still running absolutely fine. You can find videos on YouTube that have people that are still using 2012, 2013 MacBooks to edit all their YouTube videos on, and that's fine, you know what I mean? Those machines still work really well and you'll save money doing that. I, for my first one, wanted a new one. Is it worth it to me? Yes. Is it worth it to you? I don't know. I hope this helps. If you are in the market for a MacBook, definitely do your research before you spend over £1,000 on a laptop, which you then have to send back and get another one, which does empty your bank account, but you will get the refund for the first one. Yeah, do your research. Do as I say, not as I do. But thank you so much, guys. Hit subscribe if you want to see more videos like this. I will see you in the next one.